Those schoolies, they knew exactly what they were getting themselves into. Not once has come back to me and gone, oh, I felt unsafe. They were all like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be famous too.
I had this predisposition of, fuck, I have no idea about who this person is. After speaking to you, it's not me reading what other people are writing about you online. It's me getting to know you in person and having that real, raw conversation.
Lily Phillips?
I don't know if she regretted it or she was just dealing with a lot of emotions. Other people were just saying that she's only doing it because she's pushed herself in that direction.
I've met Lily and I'm best friends with Bonnie.
What's your take on that?
I like to think that we're pretty authentic. It doesn't appease a lot of people.
People will see the success that you guys have had building this. They are a little bit jealous. The women also probably that are coming at you would just be jealous that they can't get into the group.
Welcome to the Better Bloke Podcast. I'm Matty.
I'm Rob.
And we're just a pair of average blokes on a mission to try and be a little bit less average.
We're going to speak about all things highs and lows of what it feels like to be a bloke, plus speak to some legends along the way about what it takes to be a better bloke. Let's get stuck in.
You might recognise today's guest from some headlines that have been going around over the last year or two. Now, it's easy to get some preconceived notions about someone when you see the Daily Telegraph or social media shit going viral. But we've been chatting to her for the better part of a year now, and we were kind of lucky enough to meet her at Summernats and sit down and have like a bit of an in-chat person-to-person conversation, no cameras, no social media bullshit, and kind of learn the person that she is behind the scenes. And we think it was a really good chat and something that we want to talk about. So it's the one and only Manuel.
Hi guys.
How you doing? Welcome to the Better Bloke Project.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. So this chat we had at Summernats, like I guess it was over a couple of days. You were swinging past the store, and we were just having yarns, and a lot of the stuff that you're facing online in terms of criticism and the headlines and people making assumptions about you is similar to what we've been through in the past with Blokes Advice. So it was kind of a cool place to connect and hear your experience of behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, I honestly cop a lot. And people, I guess, just don't realise that at the end of the day, we're all human and that we do take things in. Even though I pretend not to, I definitely see all of the stuff on social media and it somewhat takes effect.
Is it something that you've had to grow with? Like, obviously you've become bigger and bigger and there's more news about you, and with that comes all that heat. Has that been something that you've been able to grow and learn how to deal with? Or is it something that still sort of hits home?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely always will hit home, but it's been a progression over time. And I'm really lucky in that sense that my career has kind of gone slowly up. So I didn't just like come out of the blue like one day and I was just famous or like everyone knew me. It's been a progression, and so I've been able to kind of grasp the comments, and like they've just gotten worse and worse over time. So like I've learned how to deal with it really slowly. I don't really even have any proper like coping mechanisms. I think that switching my phone off is probably the best idea that you can do. Just stay offline, not reading the comments, even though you always do.
It's so hard not to.
And you always, as a person, like it doesn't matter if like you're a man, you're a woman, you're always going to focus on that negative. So there'll be like 10 comments. Out of those 10 comments, you'll have maybe 8 positive ones, but it's those 2 negative ones that are going to like really affect you, isn't it?
Switch that around for me, babe.
I feel you at the moment. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, every single comment is basically negative. But at the end of the day, in my instance, for my occupation, they are making me money because they're driving those analytics, and regardless of whatever they say, I'm going to be making those dollars.
Making cash, baby.
Exactly.
But
right.
the fact that you have turned it into a career means it's not all negative. Like
No.
There's obviously supporters out there.
I think there's also a lot of people behind the scenes, and I talk about this just all the time in social media, that like people will say one thing, but they'll go and watch, like, if you're making some explicit content, they'll go and watch it. They'll comment something negative, but they'll either be intrigued or secretly want to, or, secretly like it, something along those lines, but they just are a bit afraid to admit it.
That's something that I noticed at Summernats, where obviously I've seen like all the comments that your stuff gets, and a lot of the time people would see those comments online and assume that they would associate that with like all those men that attend Summernats, because they're like, oh, they're misogynistic, they're pigs, they're bogans, they do this. you got so much love at Summer Nats. Like, everyone was just coming up wanting to get photos with you. They wanted to have a chat with you. And like, it almost seemed as if your experience of Summer Nats was much like Summer Nats is my happy place. And I've said it so many times. Your experience there was like, it was like a special place for you.
Oh, honestly, I'd never heard of Summer Nats before because I'm not really a car person. But being there, it kind of felt like home, weirdly enough, because like I don't do the car thing, but just the community that I saw. I've never really even liked kind of like the whole drag racing thing, but I saw just the relationships that people were having. People were uplifting each other, and it was such a special place to be. And then along also that I was getting love. I was getting shown a lot of love, actually, getting people pull me and stuff for photos, which was like crazy to think that my name is kind of starting to get out there more and more every day.
Yeah, I don't think of your name when I think Summer Nats, but you very much changed my perception of that after just, seeing you there.
Oh, I'll be back next year, 100%. After that, it will be bigger and better. I will be coming with a team of 10.
Look at that, inside scoop.
Exactly.
Heard it here first.
So will we. So we'll see you there.
Yeah, exactly.
That leads into, I guess, the online reaction versus in-person reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So behind a keyboard, everyone's a hero. They can say what they want. There's a level of animosity. Animosity
is the word. Good
that
job.
Too. I was trying to say anonymity. Anyway.
I'm
anonymous
not
people.
even trying to say that either.
But in person, often people don't have the front to come up. Have you had the in-person experiences? Because I know you roll with security and that, where it has been an issue.
Like, the negative impact of things.
Yeah.
Look, people will always have some sort of opinion regardless of whatever it is about me, whether it's what I do for work, whether it's like just me as a person because they think that they know me. But at the end of the day, they see what I want them to see. And I'm sure everyone talks about this on podcasts that has something to do with social media. But they see exactly what we portray to the media and to social media. But in terms of like negative stuff, not really. Yeah, you might get called a name, but I feel like a lot of people get the same thing. I've never had a hugely bad reaction, but I always do take security just because some things get out of hand. Like at Summer Nats on the Saturday, I was actually kind of unsafe because there was just so much happening. There was like 10 people around me pulling me for photos, and like they weren't disrespectful at all. They were really great people. Like they were respectful in terms of like asking if they could like, get my tits out or whatever.
Respectfully asking
Respectfully, yeah.
Well, it was
Okay.
respectful because I was open to that, and I kind of gave off that vibe rather than like being like, oh no, don't do that. Like I gave them that vibe, but it was just like a lot of people around me trying to, and I can't be in 5 places at once. I can only be in one photo, right?
And Saturday is, so I had this conversation with guys down there because obviously like I had my little fella down there, and we did not go out on that Saturday just because it was, the vibe felt like a positive vibe, but just because of that amount of people, like things can turn very, very quickly, and it didn't.
It didn't.
It was very,
it
very
stayed
good.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, obviously something to be aware of.
But yeah, even just like not from a woman's perspective, even from like just a parent's perspective, I wasn't prepared to take.
I felt
take my
really,
son
really
there.
safe, to be honest. And because I was told, I think you told me actually, coming down, you were like, just be careful because, some things do get out of hand. But I think it was an absolutely fantastic vibe. And I think the organisers did an amazing job. The police did a great job as well.
They did. Yeah, shout out to Summer Nats for this year's one because security did
Security
amazing.
and the police presence.
And everyone had fun too.
Yeah, it's kept the vibe of this kind of reckless, rowdy event, but in a space where it doesn't feel like it's going to go full-blown riot, which, we don't really want. We want that like edge of adrenaline and all that.
And I
Which
think
sort of happened last year.
I think just like people have a predisposition to me, I kind of had that about the event when I kind of started looking into it. I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be disgusting. I'm not going to want to be there. And it changed my whole thought process on the kind of car community and whatnot, because I've kind of had some shitty experiences with people in the past, but that's like one person out of the whole community, right? And there's always going to be one bad apple.
But I sort of had that with, like we were just talking before, I had this predisposition of like you as a person just from seeing what you see online. And I'll come out right now and say I'm a piece of shit for doing so. Never said anything, but like in my own mind, I was like, okay, you know, yeah, fuck Kay. I have no idea about who this person is. I only see what I see. After speaking to you, like we had a good conversation.
Yeah.
Like it was just real, raw, honest conversation. I was like, fuck, Kay is like a good person. And I've got all the time in the world for you now, because it's not me reading what other people are writing about you online. It's me getting to know you in person and having that real, raw conversation, just person to person.
Yeah, I'm just a normal person. I always will be, regardless of whether I'm famous, whether I'm not. I'm always going to stay the same. I might have a bit more money and I might do more glamorous things, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to be that kid from Coffs Harbour that grew up and worked at McDonald's.
Here's hoping for the cash bit. So in terms of putting out provocative content, we do it too with Blokes Advice. We make all these sort of jokes, and you kind of got to take the good with the bad, or you got to be accountable for what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
And we've had these discussions like on Instagram and stuff where like you might have been having a tougher time when things are really kicking off, and you got to ask yourself, you know, is it worth it? And be accountable. If you're putting that stuff out into the public sphere, there is going to be a backlash. You like, not to victim blame, because we do this. If you put it out there, you got to be willing to take what comes back. You got to be accountable that you've, you know, being provocative.
Every action has a reaction.
Do you have to deal with this with each and every step you take into this sphere? Like, how do you deal with that, balancing that, is this worth it?
Everything is very calculated with what I do. I try to plan things out as best as I can. So the whole schoolie situation, that was all planned. That was exactly the reaction that I wanted, and I got it. And I basically outed myself to the whole world. But I thought, you know what, it's time to get the fire started, you know. But yeah, as I said, every action has a reaction. And at the end of the day, as long as you're not breaking any laws, then you're fine.
I think that's sort of something that specifically in your line of work, like you need to uphold every single law, because it's criminal if you don't. Like that's probably something that not everyone read the articles and they read what you were doing and all this sort of thing, and they just went, terrible, terrible person, not actually knowing that everything's above board. You're doing what you need to do, and you had it preempted to play out exactly how you thought it was going to.
Oh, I knew, I knew that the reaction that I was going to get was going to impact my personal life, but I saw the business perspective, like the financial kind of gain from it as better.
A worthy trade-off. Like you knew what you're doing. Like a lot of people might see people doing like what you're doing and just doing it, flying off the cuff, just acting erratically, but it's your business at the end of the day, whether or not people agree or disagree with the line of work or how you're conducting yourself. It's on them. They can disagree with that, but as long as it makes sense to you and it's worth it for your trade-off. I remember during the whole schoolies thing, we had a chat and you were kind of down in the dumps a little bit. And
we're 100% we can go into that. I was very, very down in the dumps. I was very close to like doing some stupid things. Now, I'm not going to say that I was suicidal, because I don't get like that, but I was definitely very down. I had a great support network, to be honest, and I went in to schoolies with that support network, knowing that everyone was going to be around me for that, and like it was all coming, because it was only a matter of time before everyone found out everything. So it's like, why not? This best place, best time to do it, get it out of the way, and yeah, look at where I am now. Like, friggin' I'm about to fly all around the world and doing a world trip. But one thing I do have to say is the top earners in the kind of adult industry as such are the smartest people. Like, a lot of people have that predisposition that we talked about of them doing nothing. Like, you know, just sitting there taking some provocative pictures or content and then just posting it, and that's how they make $1 million. There's not. Like, I'm out here doing podcasts every couple of days, you know, doing all this promotion. There's so much that goes behind the scenes. I think I called you and I've done like 3-4 meetings yesterday. Yeah,
when we were chatting, we're talking about PR agencies, we're talking about news outlets, and like all the same stuff that goes into any other online business. Like that's how you approach it.
Right.
And that is how all these top creators are approaching it.
Right.
And people think they just put a tripod in the corner and job's done.
I wish.
Wouldn't that be nice?
With sort of going back to what you were saying before, you preempted all the ways that the schooly saga would play out, but then it affected you mentally. Did you think it was going to affect you mentally with like everything coming out, or was that something that hit you front on, just making you go, "Oh shit, wait a minute, I didn't plan for this"?
I definitely expected it, but I didn't expect it to hit me the way it did. It was quite intense, to be honest.
Had you felt anything like that previously?
Somewhat. I was a little bit outed the year before. And then, so it kind of somewhat prepared me for the next 12 months. But yeah, I don't think you can ever be prepared to have something like that come out, because you kind of just kick it to the back burner and hope it goes away. But all my friends were like, you can't kick this one to the back burner. Like, you're going to have to face it head on. And that's what I did. And now I am completely, I'm great.
I remember the discussion we had one time, and it was, you were upset, down in the dumps a little bit, and we were talking about mental health, and I'm like, you do whatever you want to do, girl, but a lot of you're driven by money a lot. You're trying to kill it, be a fucking boss. And I just posed, you have to really look at the question, is it all worth it? And I think you have, and you know that it is.
Yeah.
But maybe at that time when you were down in the dumps, you didn't expect to be feeling quite that shitty, so you hadn't really had everything you needed to feel to ask that question.
Oh, I was questioning, definitely. Like, the questions going through my head, my family were even like, what are you doing? Like, what is your plan? What's your next steps? Are you going to continue in this industry? Are you going to kind of just leave it be and move to something else? I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, I right now don't know. Like, at the time I didn't know at all. I was just trying to get through, and I was just talking to people, and I took like, I think 2 or 3 days just to recoup, and then started get back into everything, because the job doesn't stop. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even Christmas Day, you don't really get a break. And I wish people kind of knew that and had some more sympathy for the adult workers that actually do work really hard. But at the end of the day, they also make me money by thinking that I'm dumb and young and dumb.
Yeah, because you're certainly not dumb. You're very, very smart with how you analytically play everything out. And I think that's very apparent. But yeah, I think more people need to realise that it's almost like it's a character you're playing. That's not you.
Yeah, I try and be as respectful to everyone as I can and do unto others that I'd want to be done to me. Like, when I was kind of doing the schoolies stuff, those schoolies, they knew exactly what they were getting themselves into. And not one, since all of it's come out, has come back to me and gone, oh, I felt unsafe, or I don't want that up. They were all like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be famous too. Like, they took it as a positive thing. So yeah, I just treat others the way I want to be treated.
A lot of the commentary in Blokes advice was, where are these girls when I was at schoolies?
Yeah, exactly right. And you know what? The males are the ones that have been like actually pretty okay with it. But it's the wives that have been like, nah, like, this is disgusting. We don't want our kids, which is understandable to an extent. But at the end of the day, they were coming to us. These men were coming and still are coming. In my DMs are going off like, can we continue schoolies? I'm like, we're a bit past that now.
Yeah, it's all over. And I think it's not just like you being you, but like the girls like Bonnie Blue and all that sort of stuff. They faced all the similar sort of backlash.
Yeah.
So it's people having problems with like older people and younger people, or like all these different issues. It's a very nuanced topic. So obviously you're going to trigger some emotions.
Right.
I think that's pretty...
We're just trying to do our job at the end of the day, and getting people to talk is what we're here for. We're not here to, hurt anyone's feelings or make anyone feel like a piece of shit. We're actually here to pleasure people at the end of the day. Like, that's my main goal. Make money and make sure that the men I'm with are pleasure.
Moving forward, so part of this kind of industry is like a lot of people are trying to go bigger and better.
Yeah.
The next big thing. When you think about all the stuff that you got coming up, do you have to set yourself limits of like, I don't want to go here? Or is it, I'm going to get to my goal at sort of any cost?
The progression of my career has definitely been a build-up. So when I first started, it was quite literally just social media, and then I did start the OnlyFans. And then on that OnlyFans was quite literally me fully clothed. And then it started to become unclothed, like into bikinis. And then we went into lingerie. And then I think it was after 12 months, I started doing lingerie. And then it wasn't until about 18 months in until I actually filmed my first kind of pornographic scene, which was more of an amateur, like I did with an ex-partner. It wasn't even with any other creator. And then it's progressed from there to then creators, and now doing the schoolies and the, I guess, non-industry based people that you would kind of talk about. So with you've got to try and go slow, because there's only so much that we can do. Like, as everyone's already talking about Bonnie Blue and 1,000 Men, like, what's next, right? So I want to make sure that I kind of do little hurdles, which will still make a decent buck.
No, super fair. There was another girl,
Lily Phillips?
that girl.
Yeah.
So I'm not fully aware of the full situation, but I saw some video after where I don't know if she regretted it or she was just dealing with a lot of emotions. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And the comments were all over the place, like,
Soulless. And
yeah, some people were, blaming men for taking advantage of her, but it was her choice. Other people were just saying she shouldn't have done it in the first place. She's only doing it because she's pushed herself in that direction. What's your take on that?
I think they're both fabulous women, to be completely fair. I've met Lily, and I'm best friends with Bonnie. I think she did such a great job at that time. I know the feeling. I haven't done the full 100 men in that amount of time, but I know that there's like a certain level of connection that you have when you participate in a sexual act with someone, regardless of whether it's just a kiss. I actually find kissing more kind of intimate than a penetrative act.
We've had this discussion, haven't we?
Yep. Off camera, we'll keep that for another time.
But I think, there just would have been a lot of emotions going through her head. She would have just been really tired. Like, sometimes it can be really hard to pleasure a guy, and then sometimes it can be very easy. Different guys like different things. Some guys take a little bit longer. Some guys are quicker than others. So she would have been just dealing with a lot in her head. And at the end of the day, what we're driven for is the financial benefit. And it did amazingly for her. Look at her now. She would have made 1 or 2 million from that. So I applaud her. And I'm sure that there's going to be more to come. We're all starting to level up and go bigger and better. If you see the progression of like porn, for example, 10 years ago, I don't think we were really watching gangbangs. And now, as soon as I open my homepage, look, it's like hardcore gangbangs. Like, there's no soft porn anymore.
That's your algorithm, babe.
No, that's the progression of how porn has gone.
Do you reckon that's because it's the way that sort of similar to social media, where everyone pushes themselves that far now, and you do it in a personal sense, that you get stale with something, so you just
you want
having
more
to,
and more and more.
Yeah.
And that's with OnlyFans content as well. Like, we were just doing one guy, and then we started doing threesomes, and that was abnormal. But now, like 10 years ago, to really like have 2 guys or 2 girls, like, yes, it was done, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like just the normal. Now we're taking 3 or 4 in one hole. Like, it's mental.
That's wild.
Ouch. But like you said, it's not dissimilar to social media, like the prank channels and stuff like that. Some of the pranks going around nowadays, like back in the day, it was filling up a car with beanbag balls, and now it's like some shit that borders on, like, just, I don't know, terrible Nazi shit or something like that.
They're
going deep,
sort of too far with a lot of things now.
But they have to push that progression of what's going to hit, what's going to get me in the limelight.
Like,
how am I going to get
is there a
views?
ceiling in the adult industry? Like, is there ever going to be a point where, I guess it's sort of like the action sports, people just keep pushing themselves further and further and further, trying to invent these new tricks. There's going to get to a point where it's not physically possible to progress any further. Is that ever going to come in the adult industry, or do you think?
I think it will get to the point where people start hurting themselves in terms of like medically. I mean, I know a few people that have gone to hospital because they've tried different things, even just like something as simple as, you know, putting a plug up your ass. Like some people have got that stuck in them. So there will come a point, but I don't think we've reached that point yet. I think it will be a little while because there's different things you can do as well. Like I'm going to spring break in literally a week and a half, and I'm just going to be with all the spring breakers filming content. So just like the whole event side of things, rather than like, you know, schoolies was more about the age. Now I'm kind of doing the events. So I'll do spring break and then I'll come back and I'll do Rocky Nats and then I'm going to go to Motor X and I'm going to do all of those things because it's the demographic and, you know, it's a different event to kind of go to and promote that.
You're a full-blown car girl now after some of that, aren't you? Like, you're converted.
I'm actually very converted.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy a burnout rig.
Like, I saw so many people I knew as well, which was so random. Like, just people
I
that seemed
remember
through
it was like
socials.
2 days out and you sent me a message, do you know car people in this area? I'm like, holy shit. Like, that's a quick turnaround for wanting to do car shoots.
I know, and I'll never, like, say that I'm, like, any Renee Gracie, but god damn, like, there was some, like, I did really well there. If I was... like trying to make money, I'm sure I would have made like a bunch of money. But the promotion I got alone, those 3 days was so worth it. Yeah.
When it comes to reinventing yourself, like a lot of the blokes we talk to try and reinvent themselves, say post-divorce or coming into manhood, you know, you're probably like...
The expert.
You're a bit of an expert at that. And not just like, you know, going from a child to who you are now, but... your character, your job, there's a lot of things that go into that. Friendship circles, family, all those things. What has been some of the biggest hurdles in sort of building up Manuel?
I think it's the friendships, definitely. Look, everyone says it. You've got to keep your circle tight because people turn on you at the first chance that they get, especially when money comes into play and, you know, fame or just views in general. Like, people will fight over you getting more views than they do. Like, it's actually really stupid. So I would say just the friendship kind of hurdle. I moved out of my small town, Coffs Harbour. Everyone already knows that. It's no secret. I absolutely hated it. And I moved up to the Gold Coast and I'm thriving. I'm literally traveling the world every 2 seconds. I'm barely even in the country. So, yeah, it's just the friendship circles. I think that's kind of the hardest thing to overcome.
Did you find that move sort of helped with the reinventing you? Because it sort of sounds cliche, but like you're leaving your home to like a fresh start almost?
Yeah, it was almost like a fresh start. There was people that knew me up in the Gold Coast, but not really. But yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
Being that you're now based on the Gold Coast, Gold Coast is essentially the hub for influencers in Australia. I reckon that'd be a fair assumption to make.
Yeah, when I describe the Gold Coast to people that aren't from Australia, I would say it's the Miami, LA of Australia because it has the heat. It has all the glitz and glam, so to speak.
All the hot people are in the Gold Coast.
Oh, fucking oath they are.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's why I need to move to the Gold Coast, obviously, then, don't I?
And people, I guess, a lot of them will flaunt money that they don't have. They'll get the rental cars, they'll get the yachts and pretend like they're theirs. And that's what a lot of people do in LA and Miami. It's all on show. I know that there's a private jet that you can hire, like a fake private jet set in LA that you can hire. It's that people just want to pretend like they're all this and all that, and that's all the Gold Coast is. And these people just stay on the Gold Coast, they don't leave, and they just try and pretend like they're top shit.
I find that so hard to comprehend, to go to that level of trying to put a facade on just to appease a whole bunch of people online where, like, I like to think that we're pretty authentic. It doesn't appease a lot of people, as we've found out, but it's like our demographic of who we put out what we do too. Like, we don't try and pretend to be anyone we're not. We don't try and pretend to do shit that we're not doing. It's...
Yeah, if you can be authentic in the way that you put yourself out there and you can truly say, I'm just trying to be me, at least you know the way people react to you is genuine because you're being genuine in what you put out. So if people fuck with you, you don't have to maintain a facade because it wasn't. They like you because of whatever shit you put out there. So
Yeah.
I think that goes across your whole life. And on the Gold Coast, yeah, people are inflating their personalities. They are chauvinistic. They're, you know, half the time they're battling with people, getting nice cars, getting nice shit on debt to compete with people who are also doing it on debt. So they're like competing against someone else that doesn't even have the shit that they're trying to say they have.
It's a whole boat of like not having shit inception.
None of them have anything.
No.
Some of them do. There's some
Yes,
people.
battling
And the
debt.
people that do have it, they honestly don't show it. Like, I've met billionaires that genuinely dress in the shittest of clothes. And again, it's something that people say all the time. You'll just never know who has money and who doesn't. Like, yes, I dress nicely. Maybe I might have some money, maybe I don't. You would just never know because I put on the facade that I have all this money. But at the end of the day, I could have $10. I could be in debt 60 grand. You wouldn't know. It's all about what I show you.
I think that's it. That's probably a good note that no one should make assumptions on other people's appearances or who they are as a person. That's probably the big takeout I get from that.
So what would you say your purpose and goal is? Is it right now that money, fame and fortune? Or is there something else cooking underneath the hood?
Look, when I was little, when I was growing up, I don't know if you remember the Pussycat Dolls.
Of course.
Yeah, I used to listen to the song when I grow up, and it was literally all about glitz and glam and having money and being famous and all of that. And you know what, like, it's great. I love being seen, and I think that is a push. But at the end of the day, I just want to set myself up. So financially, so I want to buy properties and just have kind of businesses in place so that when I do leave the industry, that I'm not stuck, that I have stuff behind me. And that's what a lot of us are doing behind the scenes that people don't see, that we are investing. And at the end, like, you know, in 20 years' time when people say, oh, you know, you'll have no superannuation, you'll have nothing, you won't have your looks anymore. I'll be like, but babe, we are investing and we are doing the smart thing. Regardless of whether I'm investing in the country or out of the country or into whatever business it is, we're doing the smart thing behind the scenes.
Love that. That's something people don't think about. And we had that conversation.
But we also try not to talk about it because the more that for some of our branding, not everyone, but for some of our brandings, it is to be dumb and to be ditzy because that's what sells. And in particular for me, people do think that I'm dumb. So when I jump on a podcast like this and display some even inch of intelligence, people might even get turned off by that because like, oh, okay, she has something to her.
Well, that's why we wanted to get you on because like Rob said earlier, actually having those conversations offline over the course of time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. It definitely changed that perception. And we think our audience should see this side of you because I hate those articles that go out. They go out about all sorts of shit. Daily Telegraph can get fucked.
Yeah, that's fair.
No. The Daily Telegraph are great. Daily Mail.
Dailymail.co.uk. Why are you talking about Australia?
It's fair.
They do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm off it. Daily Mail, I'm off you.
What have you guys been put up there?
Yeah, we've been blasted a lot of
Yeah.
times.
Oh, that's a slay.
Yeah, there's like...
Any publicity is good publicity at the end of the day. Maybe not for you guys.
It's probably worse than your Schoolies articles, to be honest with you.
Really? Well, I'm going to research this now.
Oh, look out.
Maybe don't. Anyway. Going on, you just said like you're future proofing all your future endeavors and what you're doing financially to set yourself up. Rolling it back a little bit to be more like personal future. Do you have any plans to like settle down one day and get married and white picket fence? Do you see? Because obviously, I've never really spoken to like a woman in your industry to know if that's your end goal. I'm out of the loop with all of this, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I've had partners from time to time, and at one point I did have a partner like drop me off at like a full service booking because I also kind of step into that realm of the industry, and he was more than like fine with it because he also saw financial gain in that as well. At the end of the day, we all crave as humans like love, but I think at this point right now, I'm happy with just rolling the punches, staying single. But eventually I will get to that point where I will want someone special in my life. I don't think my view on having like children, whether it's any form of like adoption or surrogacy, I don't think I see that in my future at all. I'm too selfish with my money. And at the end of the day, a lot of the things that I think about come down to money. I'm just too selfish for that. There's so many things that I want to achieve and do. So kids just wouldn't, for me, be something that I want. And that also kind of sparks the whole conversation about, adult workers and, why would you be in the adult industry if you want kids or have kids? For me, I don't want them. So I know that I can pursue this longer term, I guess, so to speak. I would love to get married one day, but there'll obviously only be a handful of men that would be mature enough to open the conversation up. Because I think when they have a conversation with me, people can understand why I do what I do and how I do it. With ex-partners, I have somewhat toned it down so I can see if the relationship's worth it or not. And then obviously it gets to that point and they're gone and I just ramp back up again. Schoolies happens and spring break happens and whatnot. But yeah, I think I'm just a human.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments like that, like talking about future partners and stuff. There's a lot of people in this world. I know there's a lot of guys that are way more open-minded than some of these guys in the comment section. So I think it's out there one day. But you're very much aware, like we spoke about at the start, with doing certain things. There's a trade-off in all aspects of life. And as long as you're aware that you are going to have to find that kind of partner, which you just said you are, I think that's totally fine and people can back the fuck off.
I think also my type of man is the man that wouldn't want his woman doing that. So to be fair, I don't think I'll actually find anyone because someone, they wouldn't respect it. But I that's the type of man I like. I don't know, it sounds so weird. I think we always want what we can't have at the end of the day.
It's the chase. We've spoken about the chase so many times with, regardless if it's the chase for love, it's the chase for success. You're always drawn to something that you know is going to need more work to attain. If someone was to just give you something, you wouldn't appreciate it.
And I'll never settle.
Never settle?
No.
Or you won't settle for what's not good enough?
Yeah, just what I know I can
you don't
get.
want.
Yeah, but you're super young as well. How old are you?
22.
22. Fresh chicken.
That makes me feel so old.
You are so old.
I'm not even that much older. I just look really old. I've had a hard life.
Yeah.
Same.
It's
With all the plastic in my face.
Yeah, me too. That's how I maintain these youthful looks.
But as we were talking about with the reinventing, there's a lot of people that have done all sorts of stuff, whether they were like a crazy cage fighter, whether they've been in prison for 20 years. Totally fine to reinvent yourself, find someone else that's reinvented themselves. Who knows what life has to hold? That's all I'll say.
No, I know what life has to hold for the next 12 months at least.
I'm talking 20 years.
Yeah.
But
So you've got everything planned out for the next 12 months then?
I've got a plan. I have basically the next 6 months kind of already planned. I've got 6 months locked in, but things up and change in my life so quickly. I've been filming a TV show pilot, been coming on podcasts every couple of days, radio. The articles are never ending. They come out at least once a week. The paparazzi literally come and sit out the front of my apartment building just to take pictures of me getting coffee.
What's that like? That's got to be really confronting, isn't it?
It's confusing. Like, that's the adjective I'd use, is confusing, because I still see myself as just, okay, Manuel, just, the Gold Coast girl. But apparently I'm worth it to hire a photographer to sit at the front of my building for 8 to however long they did. I've caught them once, and then the rest of the times that they've taken photos, I've just searched my name up online or got the article sent to me. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize anyone was there. And so anytime I leave the house, I need to make sure I'm somewhat presentable, because these photos are going to go online regardless of whether I want them up or not.
It's got to be pretty scary though that people are taking pictures of you without you actually knowing.
Yeah, I mean, I stick around. I know where I'm going when I leave the house. Like, I make sure I'm kind of either with people or I'm within a certain area, because you don't want to feel unsafe or what. So, yeah.
Cool. We do have to jump into a segment we do every week. It's Bloke of the Week. And that's when we look at blokes' advice and we pick out a member and who's doing cool stuff or done some, I guess, stuff to uphold the ethos of what we're doing. Do you want to kick this one off?
I can kick this one off. So just the other day, actually, we had one of our members reached out. He was having a hard time. He's gone through the ringer, sort of a couple of different issues. We won't go into details because what happens in our inner sanctum of men stays in our inner sanctum. But he reached out saying that he wasn't doing too well. Within an hour, our bloke of the week this week rocked up to his house with a whole bunch of KFC. They sat down, like they found out they were local. So he was round at his place within the hour, making sure he was all good, doing a welfare check with a feed and just checking on him. So our bloke of the week goes to Alex. You know who you are, brother. We'll reach out. He's a long-time BA member, and just the fact that he saw someone in a time of need and was like, hey, where are you? And he said he was local, so he went, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Dropped everything and went to help another bloke. Bloke of the Week, we'll get the merch pack on the way to you soon. We'll be in your DMs.
That's actually so lovely. And that's what I actually already knew that's what Blokes Advice was created for. But like, just to see that or to hear that that's actually happening is like really cool. Because obviously I'm not in Blokes Advice and like none of my friends are because we're all females.
Men only, sorry.
But like I have, the first time I've kind of heard like an example of that. And that's actually like a testament to you guys for starting that and creating that environment where it's such a positive space for everyone to kind of come together and support each other.
There's definitely negative perceptions of it, which obviously it's much like we spoke before. There's negative perceptions of you, but that's not who you are.
Right.
So it's sort of just our little way of going, hey, this is what actually happens in here.
No,
try not to read into it too much. So yeah.
You've done well.
A lot of camaraderie. That's what it's built on. And it does happen all the time. Just a few months ago, some bloke gave away a car to a young fella that needed to get to work. Like crazy shit happens.
I love that.
Interesting. You raised a question you wanted to ask about perceptions.
Perceptions, yes. Okay, so the perception of us recently, we've had this discussion. We had this discussion before. So you know both of us personally.
Yes.
So we wanted to get a woman's take on us two as blokes, but then what you know about Blokes Advice and the Better Bloke Project, because you've seen us out and about in public doing what we do.
And what you thought about us before you knew us.
So I didn't know who you guys were until I followed you on Instagram and I just saw that you had like the Better Bloke Project in your bio. The first time I met you, I felt so goddamn comfortable, even though you're like 7 foot tall. You know, you would get like a little bit intimidated, but you're actually a big, friendly giant. And then I see you and you're just like this normal dad, just chilling, like open arms. I was a bit scared because I think I first met you both at Summer Nights. I was like, I don't know how these boys are going to take me, because at the time I was like, oh, like they manage this big page, like they're probably, you know, in like doing a lot more than what I do. And you just opened me with open arms. And I think you're both really amazing people, because now we've known each other for a few months. And I mean, I was talking to you when all schoolies happened and you were just the best person to talk to, like being honest, besides my assistant who was in person with me. But like you gave me a lot of support. You called me, I think, for an hour and a half, being like, okay, what are we going to do like to move past this? And are you coping? What can we do? You're just an amazing dad, to be honest. I saw you with your kid and showing him the ropes, and you're telling me how you like teach him how to do stuff with cars, and I thought that was really cool. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's nice to hear.
It hits me in the feels. Gets me all emotional.
But that just goes to show, guys, like until we actually met, had a discussion, it's so easy to have these preconceived notions about one another. And like we said, we think you're a legend behind the scenes. And
just an amazing person. Like you are an impressive person.
I think also at the end of the day as well, a lot of people, when they see others doing well, they are a little bit jealous at times. And so people will see the success that you guys have had building this, even though that wasn't the point to be, you know, the faces, like to have this successful. You just started it to have a community where it was positive. And people will go, oh, well, why didn't I think of that? Or, you know, why is my page not as big as that? And that's not what it was all about to begin with. So just take that into consideration, that, you know, people will just be a little bit jealous at times. And the women also probably that are coming at you would just be jealous that they can't get into the group. They want to see what's happening. I know we all do. I've tried to get into the group once because I wanted to see.
I know. I declined your invite. I went, nope.
Yeah, because I wanted to see what's happening. Someone told me that I was posting there. I was like, oh, I want to see what's being said.
It's the inner sanctum, and that's sort of what makes it like, it's like that sort of that safe space for men, and that's how they can have those conversations with old mate reaching out, saying like, hey, I'm not doing too well. If a lot of men, if they feel that they don't have that safe space, because like we've said it so many times, like us guys, we are dumb when it comes to communicating our emotions. Like we don't want to feel vulnerable in front of women at all. It's just this inbuilt protector provider type thing. Like,
some blokes, the blokes that we talk to, the blokes that this whole thing is built to help, are definitely like that.
Yeah.
And that's where people are getting a little bit funny in trying to figure out who we're trying to talk to, who are we trying to help. And yeah, on that one, we could talk about this for ages, but we're going to have to round it out. So if you're trying to find out more information about the project, betterblokeproject.org, you can find the upcoming events we have. There's a bunch of barbecue and chills, a few other things. There's links to all the other podcasts we do, as well as all the social media channels. Social media.
We've got a few social media accounts: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. You know,
We'll chuck all the links to Kay's stuff below as well. Her Instagram channel anyway. You can find whatever else you want to find.
Instagram is completely
Instagram's in there.
we will. And I personally want to say a big thank you for you coming on, and sort of just like, I'm glad you were our first woman guest, because I don't know, like you're a good person.
Well, I try to be, but, you know, the world sees differently sometimes. So
Yeah, fuck
I'm
what the
really
world
happy
sees.
that you invited me in, and it was a long time coming.
It has been. I think you said when we met in person, I'm going to get on your podcast.
Yeah.
I went, not a fucking chance.
No, you did. That's exactly how the conversation went.
But
Look at us now.
Look at us now.
I said wait until the schoolies stuff calms down.
Yeah.
Oh well, it is what it is.
Round us out, Rob.
On that note, as we always sign out, be better.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Better Bloke. If you got anything out of it, show some love by dropping a 5-star review below.
If you want to learn more about everything we're doing, head to the description, hit the links and follow us on the socials. If you want to learn more about the project, head to betterblokeproject.org.